Hi there, people. This is Spray Love, and today I'm wearing my Christmas outfit and being all cozied up to bring you some top 10 lists of Christmas fragrances. So it's all fragrances that I think is really good during the holiday period. So, uh, yeah, some of them will be, your usual suspects, and some of them will be like perhaps a bit more shocking. I'm going to try to explain my choices as I go along. So, the first one is actually like one of those shocking ones. I'm just starting off with that. It's Pure Excess by Paco Rabanne. So, what about this fragrance? There's like Paco Rabanne, very, very famous for the Invictus line and also for the 1 million line. But one line that was a bit like left behind was the Pure Excess line, and I think it's one of their best. Um, it's still like a clubbing scent. It has a Coca Cola vibe. It's pretty warm. It's pretty dense. It's pretty thick. It's not as sweet and cloying as 1 million. It's not fresh at all, so it's not like Invictus at all. And it has like a very serious booziness to it. It has some vanilla, some dry vanilla too, like some dryness to it. Very, very like a typically masculine scent. Um, and which is really, really good for like if you're going out, clubbing, dressing sharp, trying to go for, a flirt or something. So perhaps in bars and everything, it's a pretty projecting scent, but it's not an obnoxious one. So it's not as heavily projecting as something like Eros, but it's still like Versace Eros is very, very projecting, very, very loud, perhaps more like club like. Pure Excess is also like projects a lot, has a nice sillage, but is a bit less obnoxious, a lot better for like close encounter type scenarios. So if you go into bars and you want to get close to some people, then they probably won't be as much annoyed with the loudness of the projection as if you went overspraying Sauvage or Eros. But then again, just don't overspray, and it's still a powerful fragrance, and it's still very like has a presence. Um, Next up on my list, I'm going to talk about Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. Lost Cherry is a fragrance that I just love. I'm a huge cherry fan, so Lost Cherry is a fragrance that I just adore. My wife actually started loving this fragrance so much. She has a sample, and she's in love with that fragrance. I would say that I'm talking about Lost Cherry, but there are fragrances around that have like a similar kind of a vibe that are perhaps cheaper, perhaps different, perhaps like more to your liking. So do check out some things like Cherry Punk from Room 1015. I think that's called it, whatever. Do check out Vice Bomb from Simone Andreoli, which is not at all the same type of fragrance, but still has this cherry vibe that I really like in Lost Cherry. Lost Cherry has got like a leathery vibe too. It's got like a serious vibe. It's very, very sexy, very alluring. It's dark. It's kind of like the tobacco vanille of cherry. It has a plum note which is superb too. Plum notes, I believe, are very, very nice during Christmas, and it has kind of a leathery and spiciness that I really enjoy too. It has bitter almond. This is the Amareno type of accord that I really, really enjoy too, and it's very sexy. It's an high end, sexy fragrance. Is it niche quality? I think the private line, Tom Ford's private line, is pretty niche quality. It's got niche prices too, but it's pretty good quality too. It lasts a long time, projects heavily, and has like this very nice aura around you. Uh, Perfectly unisex. My wife wears it all the time. It's very nice on her. Um, do check it out. It has like this Christmas vibe, the spiciness, like the darkness to the whole scent. It's an amazing scent. Then, if you want to go for something that's has that Christmas vibe, but for next to nothing in terms of pricing. I always recommend Burberry London. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. I wasn't using it that much, so yeah, I just went for other fragrances. Burberry London is magical. You know, it's a very nice fragrance. There's a Porto wine accord from the fragrance. It's sweet, it's spicy. It has everything that it just smells like Christmas. You know, like you go to a Christmas market, or you buy some Christmas candles or stuff like that. That's Burberry London. Okay, that's exactly Burberry London, and it's like these nice evenings with like you just get some wine, do like some hot wine with spices. You know, there's tons of traditional ways to do that, and this is exactly it. You know, this is like the Porto wine, like boiling Porto wine with spices and stuff. It's sweet, not too sweet. It's spicy, but it's amazing. It's very very cozy, um, and it does wonders when you're outside when you spray some on and then you put your coat and stuff and it just radiates around you. It's a wonderful scent to just go walking in the snow during winter. Next up, I already lost count. I'm sorry. Anyway, but it's a top 10, so there's tens of them. Fragrances. Afterwards, I wanted to talk about Ariana Grande Cloud. So this one is like a celebrity fragrance, so but it's a really good one, and I do believe like it's kind of a clone of Baccarat Rouge, uh, which is pretty obvious like from the get go. Like when you spray it on, you're like, yeah, this is obviously a clone, but I think it has like this marshmallow type vibe that is really really cozy during the winter. You know, it's another like all year round scent. I do think that you can wear it any damn time. You know that fragrance, but it's an amazing all year round scent, and it has like this warmth, this coziness that I can associate it with Christmas. So I do believe I wore this the other day, and I it's a good fragrance. Everyone wears it nowadays, but it's a really damn good fragrance. So I would still recommend it. Afterwards, if you want to step up your game for the coziness, like the cozy type fragrance, you can get Mon Précieux Nectar by Guerlain. So it's called Mon Précieux Nectar. It's a very nice, Guerlain bottle. It's one of the high-end Guerlain fragrances from the collection called Les Parisiennes. This is a very like intimate fragrance. The sillage isn't very big. It's a nice fragrance to wear at home when you're with your family, your loved one, or whatever. It's a very, very beautiful. There's white florals, but there's also kind of a honey accord with the bitter orange and the neroli, and it's sweet, but like it has like this bright sweetness. Uh, yeah, kind of a honey vibe with like very nice florals that all around a beautiful scent, masterfully blended. The woodiness too that just appears and just gives still more warmth. It's completely a warm fragrance, intimate fragrance, very sexy fragrance, but like for intimate situations. But also like it's also that kind of fragrance that you can wear for yourself. You know that you can wake up, just wear that, have this nice relaxing day by yourself, and just enjoy your time. So this is that type of a fragrance, and I think that during the time of year that Christmas is like everyone's more inclined to be depressed, but more inclined to be introspective too. And this one is like one of those introspective fragrances that you can also wear for yourself because it's really nice. It's a high price point for something like that, but I encourage you to still still go for like treating yourself right before you buy something for someone else or to look a certain way or to smell a certain way to people around you. This one I think is exactly that. It's something that I bought for myself. Sometimes I wear it around people, and most of the time people find it fantastic. But it's for myself. It's a fragrance for myself. It's beautifully done and intimate. It's kind of a good wedding fragrance too. I believe. Um, then afterwards, if you want like a warm, cozy scent that's pretty intimate, but you don't want to pay that high price, I would encourage you to try Givenchy Pie. So this one has got a lot of momentum right now. There's hype around this fragrance. It's kind of resurrected out of nowhere. It's the first fragrance I actually went to smell in the store in my life. I was about 16 years old, and I was really into mathematics. And then I went, oh, there's this fragrance. It's called Pie. So, oh, it's got a math thing going on. So I tried it on. I was like, this is amazing. And it kept to like this thing was like in my head, oh, fragrances are pretty cool, but I never bothered to really dig into it until later on. Um, but yeah, this fragrance is a warm, almond focused fragrance that is not, it's not overly projecting. It's a very intimate fragrance, kind of again, the like one-on-one close encounter situations. People are gonna smell you and be like, oh, this is very nice. Every time I wear it like around my wife, she's like, oh, this smells pretty good, and I'm like, yeah, and it's very affordable. Like on discount you can easily find this for $40 and such. um it's yeah, and it's intimate, it's cozy, it's warm, it's everything you want for Christmas, and I really like the feeling. I was wearing it yesterday, and I really like the feeling of like having my coat on and everything, and just smelling like it just came to my nose, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. When I was out in the snow, like walking in the city, that was amazing. That was an amazing feeling for me. So I would recommend to Givenchy Pie. People seem to think it's super sexy. That's what I hear most of the time. It's branded as a masculine scent. I do believe it is not even stereotypically masculine. It's like very gender neutral. It's a very nice scent. On me, the woodiness comes across like a bit more typically masculine, but I think that this is a pretty unisex scent overall. Then I'm going to talk about my favorite and my wife's favorite like fragrance for the Christmas time, and this is Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. Tobacco Vanille is simply like, just to put it very simply, it's a masterpiece. It's like pipe tobacco and vanilla, so that's the main thing that is outlined by the name. It's called Tobacco Vanille, so it's tobacco and vanilla. But there's also this dried fruit scent that just gives some sweetness, some tartness. It's a very complete scent. It's not just like, oh, okay, it's tobacco and it's vanilla. Um, there's still like more to it. There's a bit of florals, there's the dried fruits, there's everything going on, and it gives off like this very warm, very comforting scent. It projects heavily too. It just warms the whole room. It's very very nice, and it's perhaps a bit intense. Don't spray too much, but it's a bit intense for some people. I know that my wife really loves it, uh, but it just reminds you like you come inside like a chalet or something, and the fire is burning, and there's this like guy that's like sipping on scotch and smoking some pipe tobacco and just enjoying his time, like reading a book or something. That's kind of the vibe. So if you want to be that kind of person, I really like to be that kind of person. In fact, I like having my moment with my scotch and reading a good book like by the fire, and this fragrance is like embodies that whole thing. It's kind of like a fragrance for people that like want to like look very good, like classy, perhaps elegant, perhaps you know but also independent and, a bit introverted in some way. Not really introverted, but like you're good with yourself. You have confidence. It's a fragrance that screams confidence, that screams like you're well put together, and it's a very nice fragrance. Totally unisex too. My wife wears it sometime too, and it's amazing. It really works with her skin chemistry too. Um, then, if you want like something that's less pricey but still has that tobacco and the vanilla kind of a vibe, you can go for Jazz Club. I think that Jazz Club is another amazing fragrance. It gives off a similar vibe. It's not a clone at all. It's a lot brighter. It's a lot more all year round type. Like it's an all year round type of fragrance. It lasts a really long time because of the vanilla. Because vanilla really lasts a long time. Most of the time when I wear a Jazz Club, the morning after, I still smell the vanilla very clearly in a touch of like the tobacco. Jazz Club is a boozy fragrance too, so there's a rum note. It is really like it's supposed to represent like going to a jazz club, I think in Brooklyn, um, and it's exactly that. There's like this tobacco kind of a cigar kind of tobacco vibe, good cigar vibe. It's a nice fragrance for that. But there's a brightness, like the neroli adds a bit of brightness to the fragrance. So it gets like more versatile than just the like the colder weather because of the brightness that it adds, but also it loses a bit of like the high, like super dense darkness of the fragrance, but it still does it very well. So I mean, go for Jazz Club. It's a more casual scent than Tobacco Vanille in like to my nose, but it's still a scent that you can dress up, and it's fun also to have a scent that you can like just wear casual clothings with, and it still rocks. So this one, if I had to pick like a signature scent that's also like perfect for Christmas, that would be Jazz Club. It's also the first fragrance I ever bought. So for the little story. Um, and then we're like the last two spots are from fragrances that I've been trying right now. They are both from niche houses. Um, and the first one I wanted to talk to you about is Haltane from Parfum de Marly. I've done a review on that recently. Um, I just wanted to smell it some more. Oh, it is an amazing fragrance. Okay, so this fragrance is an oud fragrance from Parfum de Marly. I'm not a huge fan of every Parfum de Marly fragrances out there, so I'm not like sold to them necessarily. Um, it is a fragrance that I can see like the notes here. So saffron, oud, praline, cedarwood, lavender, bergamot, clary sage. So it's like there's if you read just the notes, you're like, oh, it's a pretty know ordinary fragrance, but with oud, but with oud and saffron, which is a combo that we see time and time again. Oud, like there's the initial fragrance, and anyway, it's a big combo. It's a very like potent fragrance, I think, but not too much. Okay, so people will tell you, oh, it's an oud fragrance, so it's projecting like frenzy, and people think it's barnyard and what? No, it doesn't smell fecal. It doesn't smell like a barn. It smells very dense, thick, resinous, ambery, and the praline is really there to give like this kind of a chocolatey vibe, kind of a when you eat like a praline chocolate, uh, it's very good, but it gives that uh, edible vibe. It's not a gourmand. That's the thing. It's not a gourmand, but it smells like there's spices. It smells like there's something edible in there, and that's probably the praline. But it doesn't say that there's spices. I know I keep talking about the spices and that fragrance, like there's ginger and stuff like that, but that's what I smell from it. when I smell this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like like gingerbread spices and the praline. It's like a dessert type fragrance with the resins and the deep like woodiness of the oud, and also like the top notes like just brighten up the whole portrait of that fragrance. So this is a really really good Christmas fragrance. It's dark and deep, but it's also pretty likable. It's also pretty easy to wear for an oud fragrance. It's a very good clean oud fragrance to try out before you go for other type of oud fragrances. And it's I think it's a very good one for like Christmas parties and stuff like that. It's easy to dress it up. So easy to dress it up. You can even wear eccentric dresses with that, and like eccentric what like you can be an eccentric person wearing that, but you can also be pretty casual and still rock this. I really like this fragrance. It's hard to find like an oud fragrance that you can say, oh yeah, I could just go out and be like very casual and still smell expensive, luxurious, but it's not out of place. It's very cool and very, very cool. And the oud is intriguing. People are intrigued by oud. Stop telling yourself, oh, oud, people will find it horrible. No, no. Oud is something that people find intriguing. They smell this, they're like, I'm not sure if it's real oud, but the oud vibe, like the resinous, very dark woodiness that oud has, people find it intriguing. It's like, oh, they want to smell more, but they're unsure sometimes if it smells good or not. Anyway, the last fragrance is also in an oud fragrance. That I've been trying, and I'm going to do a full review of that one. It's another oud saffron combo with rose, which is also a very like that's a trio of notes that you can find all the time in oud fragrances, but it's really well done. So this is Penhaligon's Alfedi. It is one of their most popular fragrances, so it seems. I've been told. I don't know, like I don't know their numbers or anything. Just getting reminded. Oh my god, this is amazing. There's a bit more of like the oud in there is not really a challenging one. Okay, it's still very pleasant. Like people will still like this oud very much. Um, but it has a bit more of that like roughness of the oud. Okay, I'm not even sure if it's real oud too. It's not a pricey fragrance, so I can't believe it's real oud. But anyway, it has that facet too that is a bit more animalic. So there's this animalic vibe to it. I can see in the listed notes on Fragrantica that there's grapefruit. Grapefruit can often be seen as an amplifier for animalic notes. There's saffron rose. The rose is pretty obvious there, but not too much. It's not like a oh yeah, this is an oud rose fragrance. No, it's a bit less of an intense rose, but it's still there. It still has this elegance, this nice refined touch that rose brings to the fragrance. I think it's mostly centered around like the base notes. There's a very nice leather note in that fragrance. It's like an underlying sexy leather note. There's the oud, but it just feels like you're walking around like a holiday market. It's a very Christmassy kind of a fragrance to my nose, but also very sexy. There's vanilla, there's tonka bean too. Both of them bringing their own facet of like the base notes that are sweeter. So there's sweetness, there's spices. It's a very complex fragrance. There's tons of things going on, but it just feels like one scent, and it's like elegant, well composed, refined. It's like you're going out for like the most bougie market in town, and you're wandering around like and you're getting some like I don't know, some hot wine, some whatever. It's a very very nice fragrance. It's got a bougie kind of a vibe. It's very British, like very British elegance, um, yeah, gentlemanly fragrance. I think both men and women can pull it off very well, very easily. It's another kind of a fragrance. I really like fragrances that make me want to read some books, you know. So especially like during the winter, I like having a good book and being all warm inside and cozy and reading a book. And this one also like has its own story to bring to me, and it's another good one to just read a book by a fireplace with, but also like just to wander off, do some shopping, go to some events, you know, go to go to the Christmas events and meet people and whatever. It's a very nice fragrance. Um, and it has like it carries an elegance. You can dress it up extremely easily. I think it's one of those that it's hard to be casual with that fragrance. You know, it's hard to not dress the part with that kind of a fragrance for me. But yeah, and it's a more elegant and sophisticated oud than probably Altain. Altain is more like an easy reach kind of a fragrance to my nose. It's a wonderfully well done fragrance, but I think that in comparison, Alfedi is a lot more sophisticated, a lot more grown up. So let me like tell me what you think. What are your favorite Christmas fragrances? And see you next time. Spread love and spray love. Bye bye.